what happens when a nation cannot protect itself of being destroyed by other nation who is more powerful. When they decide to eliminate the nation, the people, by killing them. In the 20th century, 175 million people were murdered. It's like Spain, French, Germany, ripped off from the face of the earth. 175 million people. During the World War I, new Turks took the government of the Ottoman Empire. On February 1915, they made plan to eliminate all Christian minorities. To reduce their opposition, they lied about their intention. In the beginning of the century, Ottoman Empire were governed by Enver Pasha, Cemal Pasha, and Talyat Pasha. Talyat Pasha, known to Armenian as Armenian Hitler. Ottoman Empire at the beginning of the century were collapsing. They were facing the pressure from the Russians. And they were afraid that Christian minorities, Armenians, will demand better treatment. Also, they will demand their land back. But most fear came when Western Armenia joined to World War I. And the Turkish government were afraid that Armenians will fight against them with their neighbor, Christian Orthodox Russians. Turkey was in World War I as well, but with the side of Germany. Armenian communities will vanish from the face of the earth. Neither women nor children will be spared. That was the following statement to Armenian community, secret documentation from the Turkish government. First, it was to report all Armenian soldiers from the eastern part of Turkish military to the duty, where later on they were separated from their units and sent to the labor camps, where they worked to death, starved, or simply murdered far away from the public view. Armenians are being prohibited to carry any firearm. That was the following statement for Armenians, so that they have nothing to protect themselves. No weapon for civilians. They arrested Armenian men and they stated that they will be released if the family of the man returns the weapon to the government. Some families who didn't have a weapon, they were so afraid of torture and in hope having their husbands, sons, parents back. The Armenian family bought the weapon from their Turkish neighbors so that they have something to give government. But instead of being released, Armenian men were killed, again, far away from the public view. Our government has been compelled to undertake extraordinary measures and sacrifices, and it is obliged to deport the Armenian population to the interior provinces. Armenians have 5 days to get ready. They have to bring what they can carry. That was the beginning of the final stage of the genocide, 5 days before. On June 26, 1915, the family of Armenians, they were forced by the arms to leave their homes, to leave the places where they lived more than 100 years. This picture was taken by the anonymous German businessman from his window. Armenians are being marched out of town to a prison under the guard of armed Turkish soldiers. By being a witness of such horrible episodes and experiencing, Sir U.S. Ambassador wrote to the Ottoman Empire, Henry Morgenthau. He said, "Whatever crimes the most prevented instinct of human mind can devise, and whatever refinements of persecution and injustice the most debased imagination can conceive, became the daily misfortune of these devoted people. I am confident that the history of human race contains no such horrible episodes as this." But not only Henry Morgenthau were horrified of such terrible episodes, but also Turkish allies. Armin Wagner, he was military officer, he was a doctor. Later on, he wrote, "I was seized by the terror, overcome by the dizziness, as if the earth were collapsing on both sides of me into an abyss." The most pictures were taken by him, so that history will not forget such horrible episodes. During the World War II, he wrote to Adolf Hitler, "Leave alone Jews," and by mentioning Armenian genocide. However, having his own genocide in his mind, Adolf Hitler stated, "Who after all speaks today of annihilation of Armenians?" As a result, 6 million Jews were killed. The Erikan family, they all were killed during the genocide in 1915. Women, children, men. Eliminate Armenians, kill Armenians. The plan was accomplished perfectly. 1.5 million women, children were eliminated from the face of the earth. Komitas, on April 24, 1915, he was one of the first in a group of intelligence who should have been executed, with doctors, with lawyers. However, by the pressure of international governments, the security is released. He was sent to France, but being a witness of such terrible episodes, it caused him to have a mental illness. He remained until his death in 1935. He was a priest, an Armenian musician, and the founder of Armenian classical music. Many countries have recognized Armenian genocide, Western countries. And many people show their respect by stating and remembering the April 24, 1915. The countries like Russia, Belgium, England, European Union. European Union tried to encourage the Turkey to acknowledge the crime against the humanity. However, they deny it. It's like 1915 never happened in the Turkish history. They don't study. You can't even whisper about Armenian genocide in Turkey. People cannot even whisper about Armenian genocide in Turkey. Sibel Edmonds, former FBI Turkish translator. Orhan Pamuk, a Turkish novelist, he was arrested in Turkey under the Article 301, offending Turkishness, because he said, I repeat, I said loud that 1 million Armenians and 30,000 Kurds were killed in Turkey. George W. Bush, Theodore Roosevelt, President Clinton, they all show their respect. Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister Yossi Beilin on April 27, 1994. It wasn't war. It was most certainly massacre and genocide, something the world must remember. Turkey claims that it is a war against Muslims and Christians, that it is not about the genocide. However, it is not true, because one of the first countries who acknowledged Armenian genocide was Iran, Muslim neighbors of Armenia. They not only acknowledge that, but on April 24 each year, they show their respect by canceling all entertainments. It's a day of sadness in Iran. Canadian Parliament recognized Armenian genocide. The motion said that this House acknowledged the Armenian genocide of 1915 and condemns this act as a crime against humanity. The Zernagaberg is a memorial in Armenia for a sign of respect. Each year on April 25, hundreds of thousands of people gather together and they put one flower as a sign of respect, and the flowers are gathering like a big wall eventually. There are many witnesses whose stories I can't tell their stories. My whole life won't be enough. Most of them are already dead, but some of them are over 100 years old. We don't want war. There is no necessity for it. Not by our side, not by Turkish. And I may say in advance that any act of military force or any bloodshed, first, it will be forced by the government, and then it will be stated to act of self-defense. We want acknowledgement. History should not ever see such thing again. Our children must not experience these horrible episodes ever again. Acknowledgement of Armenian genocide will bring peace, not alone to Armenians, but whole to the world. That all men are born equal, that within us there is pursuit of happiness and love. Can't change history, but we can learn from it. My name is Alexander Babayan. This is a part of my history. This is my homeland. Sources. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alex.